Tragedy in Grand Blanc, shooting and fire at Michigan church. Grand Blanc Township, Michigan, September 28, 2025. A Sunday morning worship service turned into a scene of horror when a gunman drove his vehicle into a church, opened fire on congregants, and then set the building ablaze. At least 4 people died, 8 were wounded, and authorities remain vigilant for further victims. The attack. At around 10:25 a.m., hundreds of worshippers were gathered at the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints in Grand Blanc Township, a suburb near Flint, Michigan. The suspect, identified as Thomas Jacob Sanford, a 40-year-old former U.S. Marine from nearby Burton, allegedly rammed a pickup truck through the church's front doors, brandishing American flags tied to the vehicle till he exited the vehicle and opened fire with an assault-style weapon while the congregation attempted to escape. According to law enforcement, the attacker then used gasoline or another accelerant to ignite the church. Evidence of suspected explosive devices was also discovered during the investigation. Responding officers arrived swiftly, within seconds of the first 911 call, and confronted the assailant in a brief exchange of gunfire. The suspect was shot and killed about 8 minutes after the attack began. Human toll and recovery efforts. Initial reports confirmed 2 deaths and several wounded. As rescue teams combed through the burned remains, 2 additional bodies were discovered, raising the death toll to at least 4 victims, excluding the shooter. Multiple worshippers remained unaccounted for in the charred structure. Of the 8 initially wounded, 1 person later died, officials said, bringing the confirmed injured count to 8. Among the survivors, 1 was in critical condition, and the rest were reported to be in stable condition. Firefighters finally got the blaze under control after hours of effort, but the structural damage and charred interior complicated rescue and investigation efforts. Profile of the suspect and investigative status. Authorities identified the assailant as Thomas Jacob Sanford, a 40-year-old Iraq War veteran and former Marine. Officials have searched his residence and digital devices in search of motive or planning materials. Despite the speed of the investigation, law enforcement has not yet determined a clear motive. The FBI is leading the federal side of the investigation and has declared the attack an act of targeted violence. Officials believe an accelerant, likely gasoline, was used to set the fire, and the discovery of possible explosive devices has intensified scrutiny of Sanford's methods and intentions. Community shock, reactions, and aftermath. News of the attack reverberated quickly. Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer expressed heartbreak, calling the violence in a place of worship unacceptable. Local leaders, neighbors, and faith communities rallied for prayer, support, and healing. The church's congregation and neighboring churches held vigils and joint services, seeking solace and unity. On a national scale, the attack drew renewed attention to the problem of gun violence in houses of worship. Former President Donald Trump denounced the violence as horrendous and called for an end to the epidemic of violence. In the wake of the attack, some regions increased security around religious buildings as a precaution. Broader context and reflection. This attack is one among multiple recent mass shootings at places of worship across the United States, emphasizing how even sanctuaries are not immune to violence. The Grand Blanc incident is especially chilling for the complexity, vehicle ramming, mass shooting, fire, and possible explosives all in one assault. As investigators continue their work, questions remain. Why this church? Did Sanford have grievances tied to religion or the congregation? Were there warning signs? The community mourns, and the search for answers is ongoing.